All right, happy Friday night, everybody. Welcome on into the Hat Creek Interior Studios for another round of Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland, the daily broadcast. We'll catch you up on everything you need to know, have some fun conversation on a Friday night, get you ready for Texas Tech basketball this weekend, and who knows what else we will stumble into. That's right, the Hat Creek Interior Studio, custom furniture and accessories, the showroom in Lubbock, 101 South Slide Road. You can go to the website, hatcreek.us. Best in Western wear, or say Western wear, Western style. I guess you could wear it, What are you wearing? I'm wearing a new sofa. Thank you for asking. But Corey Flanagan and his staff doing the best between, I don't know, the Atlantic and the Pacific on keeping great styles of furniture alive. We're glad to be here in the Hat Creek Interior Studios tonight. Check them out on their website, Facebook. Go tell them thanks for supporting Raiderland. Tonight, a couple of different topics on a Friday. Glad you're here. We've got Texas Tech and BYU again in basketball. Huge high level, high leverage game tomorrow night at United Supermarkets Arena. By the way, everybody who gets in tonight, you're on the United Supermarkets chat line. Imagine that. Is this the rivalry the Big 12 needs? Texas Tech and BYU, great in football. Basketball, obviously. This if the NCAA tournament started today, BYU most likely a 3 seed, Tech a 4 seed. So this is a high level, like Elite Eight game in March, that you could be seeing, or a Sweet 16 game in March that you could be seeing. They played a big game last year in basketball. Is this the rivalry the Big 12 needs to be the national rivalry? Big Ten, it's Ohio State, Michigan, right? SEC, it's Auburn, Alabama, I guess. Or is that fallen enough that it's Georgia? Or, you get the idea. The ACC and basketball, Tobacco Road and football, nobody really cares. If this isn't the rivalry the Big 12 needs, and could it be, should it be? You tell me. You get it on the United Supermarket chat line. If it's not, what should be the rivalry? What should be the national featured rivalry out of the Big 12? Tech this weekend honoring the 1996 Southwest Conference Championship team on the men's side. Also, the Lady Raiders, 1996 champions as well. They could do that if they want to. Anyhow, your favorite memories from that team? Jason Sasser, the Ultimate Warrior. Darvin Ham was pretty good on that day. You get the idea. They had a hell of a run. Lady Raiders looking to break a school record tomorrow for consecutive wins in a single season. That's pretty cool. And we'll ask the question tonight, what can Tech learn? What can Tech football learn from Indiana and Miami? What can they learn from the success? You tell me. All right. Let's get it going in 3, in 2. Good evening, West Texans. All you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, theraiderland.com. That's where you start your day every day. We get you going with the Raiderland hot links. Brought to you each morning by Jackson Brothers Meat Locker in Post, Texas. They handle all your meat processing needs. They ship anywhere. You want great meats and cheeses, go down there, tell them we said hey, or just get on the great website or call them up on the telephone at Jackson Brothers Meat Locker. Tonight, Shropshire Insurance of Texas bringing you the show. Based in Lubbock, Jeff Shropshire and his crew, big enough for the whole state of Texas, independent just like you. Give them a call next week. Make 2026 the best year ever for your insurance coverage. And our great friends at Live Life Well Clinic of Lubbock, Dr. John Skelton, great Red Raider, want you to feel better, feel your best, be your best in 2026. They've got ways. Guys, our age, we're always fighting gut health and different things on that. You don't always feel good and everything. You're trying to lose weight or different things, and it's not working. They can help you out. And one of the things they're really focusing on for all their clients and all their patients this year is diabetes prevention and reversal. I said reversal. You heard me right. Go to their website, go to their Facebook page, Live Life Well Clinic of Lubbock. All right, so get it on the United Supermarket chat line tonight. Let's find out. Tech BYU, is this the rivalry the Big 12 needs? If it's not Tech and BYU, what is it? What's the rivalry that would get people across the country paying attention to the league? Tech basketball, we can get into that. Your thoughts on the game tomorrow. Lady Raiders, it's Friday. Have some fun. James is having fun. He gets in on the United Supermarkets chat line, the supermarket that supports Texas Tech and puts their names on things at Texas Tech, as opposed to the one that comes in, takes your money gladly, and then slaps their name with your money on things in Austin. He's giving us thumbs up. Why would a guy give us thumbs up? Well, because he's an OG. Going back to the days of Periscope. Thumbs up. Let us know the audio is good, the video is good. Then you fire away with your best comments. Jeff. Hi, Jeff. I think the Tech BYU thing has the potential to be a rivalry, but those people are just so darn nice. That's the problem, isn't it? It's got to be purely sports hate. Can you create a wonderful, awesome, heated rivalry without enmity? That it can be confined to on the field, on the court, anywhere else, and then after it's over, you get along. Yeah, that's horrible. I think it could be, though. I really do. I think it could actually happen. Now, some people would say BYU Utah, the Holy War. I disagree. I don't think that has national relevance. Sorry, I just don't think it does. So it's Texas Tech and BYU, and think about it. It's red, white, and blue. It's you got great colors. I mean, I'm being serious here. You got great colors. I think, says James on Facebook. By the way, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland on Facebook. Is that free? Yes, it is. All of our platforms are free. We're looking to go over 700 subscribers on YouTube. You guys can make it happen. If you're watching on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, hit like, and please subscribe if you like what we're doing, and then share it with your friends. I think BYU versus Texas Tech rivalry is making the Big 12 ascend while the SEC is descending. On YouTube, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland. And I know the Big Lubbock 1042. All right, so when we see people with like numbers in their handle, I'm always intrigued the relevance of the number. Like it's Fran Tarkington and Chuck Foreman. Did Foreman wear 42? I don't know. Like BYU, we both hate Utah. Yeah. We do have that in common, don't we? That the Utes, the one Ute, are just really becoming problematic. This is why they never got along anywhere they ever were. WAC or Pac-12 thing they were in, or independent anything. Is it possible to hate Utah more than A&M and TU? I don't see why not. I mean, hate is a very visceral thing. So I would think that, you could sink to the depths of hate. I never really hated A&M, by the way. UT, on the other hand, like the problem with Tech and A&M over the years, going back decades, and I mean, I'm going back 50, 60, 70 years. The rivalry between Tech and A&M was always because we had much more in common with each other as universities, colleges, schools, than we did with either one did with UT, which makes for great rivalries when it's like brothers fighting or whatever you want to do it with it from an ag standpoint, from an engineering standpoint. The Tech and A&M had so much more in common, have so much more in common. Maybe not these days. A&M's not the same A&M. Obviously, Texas Tech at 40,000 students offering a wide, huge array of degrees that will never make any of the graduates any sort of money, but we're making money off them. So, yeah, you get the idea. Jeff, the Big 12 is going to need 3, 4, 5 teams to be consistently good. And from that, perhaps a couple of national rivalries will emerge. Tech BYU a good start. I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But there's usually, and I'm the guy who says conferences are going away in about 4 or 5 years on the football side. So I guess it doesn't really matter. But it's Friday night. I've got to give you some sort of show topic. We got to do something, right? So why not Tech BYU? Hit the wrong button, and all of a sudden I got to scroll up. Chris on Facebook, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland. Looks like 5 to play 5, dead again for now, per the AJ. Sorry, off topic. Not really off topic. It's Friday, and you know what Friday in the old call-in radio show days were, thanks to Rush Limbaugh. That's right. It's Open Line Friday. So yeah, it's always open lines are enter. That was the deal on the old radio shows for me. It's always open lines. If you want to talk about something, just hit us up, give us a heads up, let us know what you want to talk about. Obviously, we don't have a call screener or a producer or engineer on this, so it's just Chris showing up to the party saying 5 for 5 dead again. Don Williams with a feature on that, a column on that. Don seemed to be against the 5 for 5. Don, what? It worked so well for 50 years. Why do we have to change it? Let's leave your socks and your shirts out of this, Don, and let's talk about the reality of college. College is now a 5-year experience for most people. That the days of going to school for 4 years, getting a degree, and walking out of there, pretty much dead and over. That experience doesn't take place. So the antiquated idea of we're wedded to college football players, basketball can play 4 years, and then you got to have this magical waiver because you had a red shirt or you had a gray shirt or they did the laundry wrong and then you broke your toe, but you only played in 69% of the games and not 72.8% of the games. And then you can come, okay, here's the way you fix it. It's real easy. You get 5 years to play five seasons of football. And upon that, I would grant a medical red shirt, a medical waiver, that if a guy goes out and it's in the first half of the season, I'll even say first half, and they break their neck and they have to come back from a broken neck and they miracle themselves up and they play again. Coming back into the game, it looks like Lazarus is back there at the slot back position. Lazarus, hell of a year until he died. 5 for 5 is easy. Do 5 for 5. Make it simple. You got the 2 Utes. What's a Ute? What the judge still wants to know, what is a Ute? What is a Ute? Great movie. Joseph gets in on Facebook. Glad everybody's out there on a Friday night. You guys make this worthwhile. We've had a very busy week, a lot of stuff going on. You might have noticed we had a couple of morning columns that we're not there in the morning, but hey, we've been here, I think, every night during the week. And, you know, it's easy to sit there. Some people say, yeah, take Friday off. No, we got stuff going on. Huge basketball games this weekend for different reasons. Lady Raiders, Kansas State tomorrow at 1. Kansas State, Midland team. They're not the Kansas State of your father's era or when I was calling Lady Raider basketball. Well, actually, when we first started playing Kansas State in the Big 12, they weren't good. Then they got good, and then they became problematic. And now they actually lead the all-time series against the Lady Raiders. That needs to stop. Put a stop to that. Tech wins tomorrow. That would be the most consecutive wins in a single season ever, all-time Lady Raider basketball history. I don't know if you guys know this. There's a lot of history to Lady Raider basketball, and most of it's good. Get on the United Supermarkets chat line on that. If you want to talk Tech BYU, here's my breakdown on this. Depth is going to be a problem for Tech against BYU the same way it was against Houston. Best thing you got going for you right now, JT Topping coming off a hot game. You're going to obviously have to have Christian Anderson. The dynamic duo's got to be huge. Last year, I think they had a combined like 7 points or something like that in that game there at Provo. But don't matter this time. You're in Lubbock. It's a different deal. But your depth compromises the second half. You got to get out to a lead in the first half. I think this game is played much like the Houston game from this standpoint, that it's going to be about the first team to 75, 77 points. I think Vegas has got it skewing a little bit higher than that. Total, I would say under. First half, I would say over, by the way, points scored. Until Ben Boye gets back, and that's about the last piece you're going to get, in my opinion, for this Texas Tech team. You're ride and die with what you got, and that means it's a short bench all through the season, and that means second halves are going to be hard against good teams in the Big 12. So you better get out to about a 6 or a 7 point lead at the half tomorrow night, if you're Texas Tech, and then hold on for dear life, and hope like hell the fouls are not called tomorrow. Joseph's, meanwhile, back at the comments, Joseph and BYU. It's a rivalry of each other's culture. What cultures? What are the cultures? Tell me more about the cultures. But there's a mutual respect that prevents us from being hated rivals like cool cousins. I'm more interested in the rivals. What are the cultures? What are the culture rivals? I put Utah and TCU on the scum in the bottom of the barrel in terms of dislike. But just in case you were wondering who James doesn't like, TCU and Utah. My mind went straight to a river draft on Open Line Friday. Oh, a driver draft. I'm sorry. A driver. Okay, that's an old Williams and Night Show reference. NASCAR. We would have a NASCAR driver draft on Fridays, where you could call in, draft your driver, and whoever's driver finished the best, whatever, you get prizes. And the driver draft was heated because you only had 36 drivers, 43 sometimes. And I mean, it was fast and furious when we opened it up in the third hour on Friday, and it was driver draft time. And I mean, people had their kids calling in trying to get drivers. They had multiple people trying to get drivers on the old driver draft. That's funny. I was just talking to my wife about the driver draft. We'll tell you why before we get out of here tonight. Do you think Watts needs to add 15 along with 20 or better from Toppin and Anderson? Toppin or Anderson, somebody needs to be in the 20s. One of them needs to be around 17, 18. And then Lawan Watts, I think, 15 would probably work right in on that. I think that if you're looking for amalgamated point totals, I'd love to see this team this Texas team win this game with defense. And really close out on shooters and rotate well and just not be slow. The movement on defense at times for this team just is slow. No other way to put it, you know? But that may just be what this team has to deal with. So if that's the case, if you get with slow D, you better be able to put up points, you know? You've got to put up points. You've got to win games, perhaps by shooting, 40% from three, which I think is a hard way to consistently do it. Jeff, it would be nice to win a game where we aren't jacking up 35 threes. I agree. In this day and age of college and NFL basketball, the National Football League on hardwood, it's about a 40% mark. It's volume shooting. I understand the mathematics behind it and everything that they try to sell me on, but where they lose me is what happens when you miss the threes and you get the long runouts, and they never tell you how many points you give up on the other end of the missed three. It's always about, we outscored them on threes. Well, no, that's not really it. It's what happened when you missed a three. What did they go do on the other end? To me, a missed three is a turnover. No more, no less. A missed three typically is a long rebound with the potential for a run out. To me, it's the same as a turnover. So what's my magic number on threes? I think for the most part, the last couple of years in watching Tech, it's been between about 18 and 22 threes attempted in a game is where you can maintain that three-point shooting percentage that's going to keep you there and do that. But every three you shoot above 22, 23 attempts, to me, all it does, and I hate this term, we're regressing back to a mean in a statistical mean that tells me you're not going to be able to hold on to it. So am I an anti-three guy? No. I just think there's a sweet spot on taking them. Go to the rim, get fouled. To me, that's the greatest way to get 3 points, is to go to the rim, get fouled, hit free throws. Oh, and when you do that, guess what? If I hit a three-pointer, nobody on the defense gets hit with a foul. If I go to the rim and you foul me, I'm this much closer to getting one of your players out of the game. James, Tech defense thinks too much and not reacts enough to be slow. Yeah. I don't know if it's thinking too much or just identification. Maybe it's not that they think too much. Maybe it's they don't think enough. You know? That they don't move quickly enough because they don't recognize quickly enough. Joseph, I used to love it when y'all had word association. Let's try it again for our English-speaking audience. I used to love it when y'all had word association on the radio show. How would the 96 team do now, and how would today's team do in 96? Great question. Word association Wednesday that actually started at the Big 12 baseball tournament in 1997 or 98 when we were sitting around drinking beer, watching games, a group of me and my friends, and somebody would throw out a word and you had to build on it. Or it would be like a player name, like I'd go Magic Johnson, and then you had to use the last name Johnson to give me another player with that name. You could build off first or last. But Magic Johnson was tough because there really weren't a whole lot of other Magics you could go with. David Collier, Chemic 28 sports director, prolific social media influencer. Tobin has struggled at the line, though. Yes, he has. And he struggled three-point shooting, too, up until the other night. And he had a pretty good night hitting the threes there. But I would still say, even when you struggle shooting free throws as an individual, you're still getting probably the guy that's covering you, the guy that's working on you, you get him out. Both ends of the floor. Go to the rim. Good things happen. It's like hockey. Put the puck on the net. Good things happen when you put the puck on the net. Good things happen when you attack the rim. You got to get there, in my opinion. Doesn't mean you don't shoot threes. What do I know? I have not watched many basketball games over the years. I should really get into the game more. Lady Raiders trying to eclipse the record of 19 straight consecutive wins in a single season. The program record for consecutive wins is 24. That stretched from the end of 1993 into the beginning of 1994 for the Lady Raiders after the national championship team. It's crazy. They open up the season the next year in Jackson, Tennessee, in the State Farm Tip-Off Classic and beat Vanderbilt, which I believe was preseason number 1. They come home, they play Stanford and beat a top 5 Stanford team. And then they go on the road to what I will say was a nondescript, tournament, early season tournament in Wichita, Kansas, played at the old Roundhouse, which was designed by the same architectural firm that designed the Lubbock Municipal Coliseum. It was so weird. It was going in there. It was like, this is the same thing as the Coliseum, just a little bit different. But they even had the water fountains on the ground, where the court was, in the same places, which a lot of people forget. There were water fountains down there at the Coliseum down on the ground level where the benches and stuff were. Anyhow, it goes to 24 games. It ends up getting snapped by Minnesota, and they had a player named Carol Ann Shudlick go off that day at Wichita for like 36 or 38 points. It's probably still in the Lady Raider media guide, most points scored by an opposing player. This Minnesota team wasn't very good. They didn't do a whole lot, but she just went crazy, and it was so weird because there were like 18 people in the arena. I had to be quiet when the Lady Raiders at the free throw line shooting free throws. I had to be like, and Janice Ferris is at the line, because my normal voice would carry through the Coliseum, and it was distracting the players. It was a weird environment. It was just a weird way for that streak to end. There to Minnesota. And Carol Ann Shudlick, here's to Carol Ann Shudlick, wherever she may be. All right, we got a little while left with you tonight. Is Texas Tech and BYU the rivalry the Big 12 needs? If not, who should it be? Lady Raiders tomorrow, and then the Tech men tomorrow night, BYU. And Tech honoring the 96 Red Raiders. My friend David Collier, their KMEC 28 sports director, at Collier on TV. A ton of cool stuff, video and everything from the 96 season. By the way, I didn't see the Ham Slam live. We were getting ready to go. The Lady Raiders were departing later on that day or the next day or whatever it was. And I had to drive out to the radio station from my house at halftime or something of the game. For whatever reason, I was driving when it happened, and I had no idea what had transpired because all of a sudden Jack Dale is killing time, and I'm like, "What is going on?" Get to the station, grab a piece of equipment that I had to have to fly out with for the Lady Raiders on NCAA tournament coverage. Get back to the house. Remember, this is pre-internet. This is you ain't texting nobody. You don't know what's going on. Get back to the house, and everybody's like, "Man, did you see it? Did you see what happened?" I'm like, no, I did not. I did not see it. I was out on 1585 and Slide Road. I had to get this piece of equipment. What are you talking about? And then finally they showed a replay, an interminable amount of time waited. And I'm like, oh, that explains a lot. Jared, as part of the and more in the description, when do we move focus to baseball when baseball starts playing? Does baseball need to have a big year? Yes, they need to get back in the NCAA tournament. To me, that's the bottom line. That's the bottom floor. They need to get back in the NCAA tournament. Question mark. Are they falling behind as far as fan momentum? Football, well, yeah, they're falling behind. Now, I don't know. I assume their tickets are probably still sold out, but yeah, they're falling behind. 100%. They got to get it right. They made major changes. Got to get it right. Don't worry. Diamond Talk going to be huge this year. James, I saw a video yesterday. Oh, no, there's more. Called the Curry effect on the volume of threes taken now. It has changed the game, good or bad. It's changed the game, good, bad, or otherwise. Again, I understand the volume threes. I get it. I know players are better at shooting the three today than they were 15, 20 years ago. I understand that, but I think there are still some basketball truisms that I hold out. And the biggest thing is they never talk about what happens when you miss it, which to me is a turnover. Joseph, I watched the Lady Raiders for the last 10 years, and I'm constantly asking myself, what makes the difference this year? Physicality, better shooters, better basketball players. Congratulations, Lance is winning. Jeff, hail and farewell to Ron the Stinking Aggie. He was bad at fantasy football, annoying during A&M week, but he was as fine a man as you would come across. Perfect setup there. We said not goodbye, but we'll see you soon to Ron the Stinking Aggie today at his funeral. I've known Ron since 1986. And for those who wonder what we're talking about, Ron passed away January 8th from complications during surgery. Far too young, 66 years old. But I've known Ron since 1986. He, if we had a Williams and Hyatt show caller Hall of Fame, Ron Nell would be probably the first one in it. Ron Nell would be right there as Ron the Stinking Aggie. Justin Hancock, Mustang Man, would be in there. I mean, we got a lot of different callers. Mr. Negative would be in there for those who remember that. But we're talking about Ron Nell today. So Ron was Ron the Stinking Aggie. A lot of stories could tell you about Ron. Just an epic, awesome guy. Our friendship did not begin by any stretch of the imagination on the Williams and Hyatt show with him calling in. It started in 1986 when him and his wonderful wife Angie, they were in their mid-20s, newlyweds, and at that time I was on the speech and debate team at Coronado. So Angie, Ron's wife Angie, her younger sister Christy Jensen, Christy Reeves now, Michael Reeves, shout out. We're all on the debate team. Well, they volunteered to drive the vans that, we would take vans to different speech and debate tournaments up to Amarillo or wherever around here, whatever, when we weren't going very far. Now, if we were going, San Antonio and Dallas and whatever, places like that downstate, we'd take ground buses and everything. But around here, it wasn't unusual to go to a debate tournament, WT or Tascosa or Amarillo or whatever. And Ron and Angie would volunteer to drive and be sponsors. And I didn't realize it at the time. I was sitting there thinking, as time went on, you're in high school, you don't get it. How cool is that they were willing to spend time with us to help us do what we needed to do, and be around high school kids and kind of mentor. And he was a friend and he was cool. And that's really where my, friendship began with Ron and Angie Nell, was damn near 40 years ago. Over the years, we had intertwinings of, friendships and marriages and different things. And then we start the Williams and Hyatt show, and Ron was probably one of the first callers. And I don't know how it occurred, Jeff. I don't know when he became Ron the Stinking Aggie. And I don't know if I deemed him that. I really believe that Ron actually bequeathed himself his own nickname when he called into our call screener and said, "Just tell him it's Ron the Stinking Aggie." I honestly believe that's how he became known on the show there in the early 90s, the mid 90s, and henceforth, became Ron the Stinking Aggie. Now, why was Ron the Stinking Aggie? Ron was Stinking Aggie because Ron was one of the most conflicted individuals I've ever known when it comes to college athletics. Ron marched in the Fighting Texas Aggie band as a drummer at Coronado High School. Shout out Mustangs. And then drummer in the Fighting Texas Aggie band. So he had degrees from Texas Tech and Texas A&M. He's got to reconcile that now. And I think probably when he got to heaven last Thursday night, that, whether it's St. Peter or whoever, is like, all right, we got to sort through this before we go through some things. But he was a great Red Raider and he was a great Aggie, and he was just a great dude. He was amazing. He raised an amazing family, and we've been friends for a long time. When I got the news last week, it was like a gut punch. But it reminded me too of the community that people like Ron Nell created on our show. That people felt like they knew each other. That callers felt like they knew other callers, even though they never met. And they did meet. We'd have remotes. So we'd be at, whatever, 50th Street Caboose or Hub City Brewery, or we'd be at Rudy's Barbecue, on Monday nights and everything. And that they begin to, get to know each other and become friends and everything else. And I think selfishly, that was one of the cool things about doing the Williams and Hyatt show, is that it brought people together like Ron the Stinking Aggie with other people and other fellow degenerates and everything else. So yeah, he was just an amazingly joyful person, and he could give as good as he could take. And by that I mean, people would give him hell about being an Aggie, and he'd take it and give it right back to them, all in good spirit. The best of what college sports and fandom should be. Unrepentant cowboy fan. What was it? Bad at fantasy football. We loved having him in fantasy football because we knew he would overdraft Dallas Cowboys. You could count on that. We could get them off the board. But just loyal and cool and fun and a great guy. And the first National Hockey League game I went to, I believe I got this right. Zippy may have to correct me on this, but I think I'm right. That me and Ron and his brother-in-law Michael, we went down to Dallas the night they dropped the banner after winning the 1999 Stanley Cup. The next year, fall of '99, that we were down there, and it's really kind of interesting that I found my old Stars hockey sweater that I wore that night to that game when we went down there. Just timing, whatever. I don't know. I think, thank you, Jeff, because I had it right here that we were going to talk about Ron Nell tonight, and it was going to be not just about Ron, but about you guys and what y'all have meant to me through our radio shows and all the media interactions. And I'd be remiss right now if I didn't say something. His parents were amazing people. His dad was an Aggie, who I found out today during the service. All those years, his dad had never gone to the Dixie Chicken, and so when they did the ring dunk for Ron, he finally got to go. But anyhow, they were huge Lady Raider fans, and rain or shine, good days or bad, they were there at Coach Sharp shows and games and different things, and just amazing people. God brings people into your life, and you have no idea when you're a 17-year-old junior in high school and you're just kind of screwing around with the speech and debate thing, and all of a sudden there's this guy and his wife that you think they're so old. They're 26 years old. And you have no idea at the time why God is bringing people into your life. And then maybe for years you don't really understand it, you don't get it. And then as time goes on, if you're lucky enough, you begin to understand it and you get it. And you realize that God brings people like Ron Nell into your life and Angie Nell into your life because they're amazing people. And he wanted you to see what amazing people look like when you're 17 years old and you're 18 years old and you're 24 years old. And he wants you to see somebody like Ron Nell over 40 years of living, how they live. And he wants you to think back upon that and see what you learned that you didn't know you were learning and how it impacted your life in so many different ways that you never ever really understood or even realized. And I believe that God does that all the time for us. And I hope you have a Ron Nell in your life. I hope each and every one of you has a Ron Nell in your life that goes back 40 years or 4 years. That you can look back through the threads of living, through the threads of life, and you can go, oh my gosh, what an amazing example of a person I got to be around, I got to see. And then you pray to God and you ask him, I hope I learned something from Ron Nell. I hope I learned. I hope I learned some things from Ron Nell. Whether it was 17-year-old me or 56-year-old me, I hope I learned some things. So, Ron, here's to you, buddy. Here's to Ron the Stinking Aggie. I'm sorry I could not stand up today while they played Spirit of Aggie Land. Ron, my hypocrisy can only go so far. Whoop.